All right, now that we've learned a little bit about strings, we're going to attempt our first kind of string program here. And basically, we're going to do this program, which is inspired by the show The Big Bang Theory. On one of the episodes, Sheldon, one of the characters, is dating somebody named Amy. And so they combine their names to be SheAmy. So basically well, it's a little bit different what we're doing here. But our program, we want to take a name and we want to take the first three letters from the first name. Sorry, my computer is struggling to write here. And combine that with the last three letters from the other name. So with the example that's up here, sorry, my computer is really struggling again, but we would take and get Danlin. Okay, so we would take the first three letters, Dan, and then actually be just Danon. All right, it would look something like that. Okay, so that's our goal, is to take the first three letters and then the last three letters from the second name and combine them together, and then just print out that new name. All right, so a couple things with this. One, we have to assume that the names are, there's an assumption here, right? So hopefully we recognize that they have to be at least 3 long, right? This isn't really going to work. If you actually call substring and there's not enough letters, it'll do like an array index out of bounds exception. Basically, like if I tried to call a substring on Daniel here and I went from position 0 to 10 or something like that. So if I called dot substring, and I did from 0 to 10, that's going to blow up because there's not actually that many letters in either one of these names. Okay, so what we got to do is we got to figure out what is the right substring call to get these first 3 letters and then to get the last 3 letters here. All right, and again, you can assume that both names are at least 3 letters long. All right, and then we want it to work for every name, right? Not just Caitlin and Daniel. We want it to work for any 2 names. Okay, so basically you're going to load up a program, make a new program. I called it SheAmy, and I would just make a couple string variables and then see if you can do the correct substring calls and then print it out at the end. I want to ask that you pause the video here and try it, and then unpause to see the solution. All right, so again, hopefully you've had a chance to try it. And the trick to this is, for the first one, I'm going to use the regular substring, or sorry, not the regular substring, but the one that takes in 2 indexes like this. So we're going to do name1, or whatever the name of the variable is, and then we're going to go from 0 to position 3. All right, so remember that substring needs to run 1 past. So in order to get the DAN, I want to go from 0 to 3. And this should be true of any name, right? So if I can think of the name, say Mark or something like that, if I do from 0 to 3, that's going to get the MAR. Okay, so this is going to work for any string as long as it's got at least 3 letters. All right, even if it's exactly 3, like Amy, that's still going to be okay, because 0 to 2, or sorry, 0 to 3, it does run 1 past, and that's okay. So it'll get the 0, 1, 2 position letters. Okay, so that's kind of one step here, is I'm going to do, so I'm just going to do string part 1 equals name1 dot substring, and I go from 0 to 3. Okay, and usually when I program, I just kind of make sure that it's working. So if you want to like just make sure everything's okay, I can see that I actually get Dan from name1. Okay, so that's probably a good sanity check just to make sure that it's going okay. All right, and then I'm going to take out this print because I don't really need it anymore. All right, so the second one is pretty tricky because we want it to work for any string length. Okay, so I'm just going to look at Caitlin here a little bit, and that has a length of 8. Okay, and we're going to use that length when determining the substring. So I'm going to use the second substring here, which would be that just takes in 1 index. And if it was Caitlin, I could do name2, or whatever the variable is, that substring, and then I could take from position 5 on, and that would get me the last 3 letters of Caitlin. The tricky part with this is, again, that would only work if the string is length 8. Okay, so what we kind of have to figure out is we want to make it work for any length. So basically we can see the relationship here that this 5 is 3 less than the length. Okay, so really what I want to do is get the length and then call substring with that length value, which is an int, and do 3 less than that. Okay, so for Caitlin we get 8, and then I do substring with that number of 5. Okay, so in code it should look like this. So I'm going to do this in steps. I'm going to do int idx for the last part. Maybe I'll do length. I should call it the length of the string. I'm going to do name2.length. Okay, and then I'm going to use that. So now when I call name2.substring, I want to use the length number, but then 3 less than that, right? And again, I'm going off of this, that if Caitlin is 8 and I want to get from 5 on, I just need to minus 3 from my length. Okay, and if it's the last 4 letters, I do minus 4, etc., etc. Okay, so now I'm just going to store that result in part 2. So again, what's happening here is I'm calling substring, which will return a string, and I'm saving it in part 2. So now that I've got both parts, I just need to combine them into a new string. So I'm going to do part 1 plus part 2, and we probably don't need a space between them. Think about SheAmy, right? We don't put a space between there. And so now I'm just going to see if that worked correctly. All right, and then the thing you should really check is change it. So maybe let's just change this to Kate and see if that actually still works. Okay, and it looks like it's doing pretty good. All right, and again, this will work as long as they're at least 3 long. So if we try somebody like Kai, right? Maybe Kai is just spelled KY. I think that'll give us like an error, index out of bounds or something, because this one is trying to do a substring and the length is only 2. So when we minus 2, we get -1, and then we're calling substring from -1, and then it blows up on us. So obviously this works only if it's at least 3. All right, so hopefully that helps you out. Whenever you have this one done, in class, I normally have you check it off with me to make sure we're doing okay. If you are a distance learner, then I'm just going to have you turn it in Google Drive. So just whenever you have the program working, turn in that .java to your Google Drive turn in. And if you want to see that one more time, you just got to go to your drive, go to shared with me. Sorry, this is taking a little bit of time. And then once you're in shared with me, search for turn in, and you should find your folder. So obviously I got a bunch because I have all of yours, but just find yours, drag your .javas in there. All right, that's it. Hopefully that helps with that program. Let me know if you need anything else. Thanks.